Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep again. Today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you have been hearing about uh, AI music generation. And no, we're not just talking about those Drake and Weeknd deepfakes that went viral, though we could do a whole nother deep dive on those. We're going beyond the hype to figure out how AI actually learns to make music from scratch.
It's pretty mind-blowing stuff, honestly.
Right. I mean, some of this research we found is incredible. We're talking about AI composing entire symphonies, crafting catchy melodies, even producing full tracks. But we also want to explore, what it all means for the future of music.
Yeah, there are definitely some big questions there, especially for us musicians.
Exactly. So, to kick things off, let's be honest, the idea of AI, like sitting down at a piano and composing a masterpiece, feels pretty futuristic, right?
Yeah, like something out of a movie.
Right. So imagine for a second trying to explain to a computer how to create the sound of a snare drum. Like, how do you even begin to describe that snap, that resonance, those subtle textures? How do you translate that into something a machine can actually understand?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And you think it involved like complex algorithms and acoustic formulas, right? But surprisingly, it all starts with something way simpler.
Noise.
You got it. Noise. You might have heard of those AI image generators, the ones creating those crazy realistic pictures.
Yeah, those are wild.
Well, music generators actually use a similar principle, but instead of pixels, we're talking sound waves.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the key to all of this is something called diffusion.
Diffusion.
So picture this. You have a crystal clear audio signal, right? And you slowly start adding in layers of static, like turning up the fuzz on an old radio. Eventually, that clear signal becomes pure noise. That's forward diffusion. We're basically noising up the sound.
Okay, so it's like we're degrading the original audio on purpose.
Exactly. And here's where the AI magic happens. These models are trained to reverse that whole process. Step by tiny step, they learn to peel back those layers of noise until, get this, they uncover a recognizable sound hidden within that sonic chaos.
So they're like sonic archaeologists digging through layers of audio to find those hidden sounds.
That's a great way to put it. And that sound they uncover could be anything, a snare drum, a vocal melody, whatever we train the AI on.
So it's kind of like those AI image generators, but instead of visual noise, we're manipulating sound waves to create something new.
Exactly. It's all about training the AI to see, or rather, hear the patterns and structures hidden within that randomness. Think of it like an MP3. It compresses a huge audio file into a smaller one and then decompresses it back, right?
Right.
These AI models are learning to compress random noise into something structured, something that resembles actual music.
So it's not just copying existing music, it's learning the underlying blueprint of how to create sound.
You got it. But here's the really wild part, right? It's not just copying those snare sounds it's learned. It's like actually understanding what makes a snare a snare.
Yeah, it's learning those underlying principles, those sonic building blocks that make that sound what it is.
So then, theoretically, it could create a totally new snare sound, one that's never been heard before.
Exactly. And that's where things get really exciting because it opens up this whole world of sonic possibilities.
So the AI is like jamming out, experimenting, just like a human musician would.
Right. But instead of using physical instruments, it's manipulating the sound itself at this really fundamental level.
Okay, so that's all super cool, but how is this actually being used in the real world? We hear AI music thrown around a lot, but are there actual tools out there people are using?
Yes, yeah, tons. This isn't just sci-fi anymore. There are some seriously impressive AI music platforms available right now.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, you mentioned Music LM earlier by Google. It's been making waves with its ability to generate music from, like, really complex text prompts.
Yeah, it's like you can type in 80s synth pop track, driving beat, melancholic undertones, and it'll actually spit something out that fits that description.
And not just a cookie-cutter version of it either. One of the articles had an example where someone prompted Music LM with an uplifting East Coast hip-hop beat.
And it actually worked.
It nailed it. Even captured those subtle regional variations you hear in the music.
That's insane. So it's like having a team of producers and session musicians all crammed into your laptop.
Pretty much. It's a powerful tool.
Okay, so besides Music LM, what other tools are out there pushing the boundaries? So we're talking about all these incredible AI music tools, like Music LM, that can practically whip up a symphony on demand.
It's amazing, isn't it? The technology has come such a long way.
It really has, but it makes you wonder, with AI composing and producing, what does this mean for the human musicians out there?
It's the big question.
Right.
And there are a lot of different opinions out there.
What have you heard?
Well, Some people think it's going to revolutionize the industry in a good way.
Like, give musicians superpowers to enhance their creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like having an AI writing partner, bouncing ideas around.
Or taking over those tedious tasks, like the arranging, the mixing, all that stuff.
Freeing up musicians to focus on the heart of the music.
I like that. But then there's obviously the other side of the coin.
The fear that AI will become too good.
So good that it just replaces human musicians altogether.
Yeah, that's a scary thought for a lot of people.
It really is. Makes you think about what it actually means to be a musician, an artist.
Right. Is it all just about hitting the right notes, or is there something more?
Right? Like that emotional connection you get when you listen to a song that really gets you.
Exactly. AI can make music that sounds good on paper, but can it truly move you?
That's the question, isn't it? Speaking of, we came across this article about Randy Travis.
The country singer?
Yeah, the one who, sadly, lost his voice after that stroke. Well, they actually used AI to recreate his voice for a new song.
Wow, really? How'd they do that?
They used decades of his past recordings, and it's incredible you can actually hear his voice again.
That must be pretty emotional for his fans.
Oh, absolutely. But it also brings up a lot of questions.
Like, where do we draw the line?
Exactly. Is this really him? Is it ethical? And then, on top of that, what about the legal stuff?
Yeah, who owns the rights to that song? The AI, the developers, his estate?
So many questions. It's a whole new world out there, both creatively and legally. And to be honest, it's kind of hard to see where all of this is headed.
It is. But I think it's going to be a fascinating journey to watch unfold.
Absolutely. This is definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on. For all of you listening, keep those ears open and your minds curious because the future of music, it's sounding more interesting by the day. Until next time, on The Deep Dive.